How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from last night, which was January 5th, 2022. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Hangman Page went over and retained the AEW title with the Buckshot Lariat. Now, there were 3 judges in the match, and the judges were Paul White, Mark Henry, and Jerry Lynn. And the reason there were judges out there for the match was just in case the match went to another time limit draw, just like their previous match. That was cool. That was match 1, by the way. Match 2, it was Shawn Dean versus MJF. That was a quick match, but the ending to it, Shawn Dean went over by disqualification due to interference from CM Punk. And how that all happened, well, the bell rang and CM Punk came out. As CM Punk came out to the ring, MJF got out of the ring and retreated and ran away, and CM Punk turned around and attacked Shawn Dean by kicking him in the stomach and executing the GTS and laid him out, and the referee called for the bell. Now, after the match, CM Punk got on the microphone and cut a promo saying, "This is exactly what's going to happen until you fight me, you son of a..." Well, CM Punk got on the microphone and was saying, CM Punk got on the microphone and cut a promo saying, "This is exactly what's going to happen until you fight me, you little bitch." And MJF was then MJF got a microphone and cut a promo saying to CM Punk, "Everything you say, Punk, is fake, because last week you said that this was over, but you're right back here after me again. And you know why? Because you know you're irrelevant, and you know without me, you're nothing. And it makes you mad that I got compared to the late great Roddy Piper, doesn't it, Punk?" And then MJF was saying, because the late great Roddy Piper was man enough to main event WrestleMania. And then MJF was saying, so maybe I should go to WWE and main event WrestleMania. And CM Punk started laughing, and MJF was saying, "What are you laughing at, dipshit?" CM Punk was saying, CM Punk was saying, "MJF, the only thing I want to do right now is kick your ass." And CM Punk was saying, but until then, go to WWE and go main event the 4-day extravaganza of WrestleMania, because next thing you know, you'll be released within the next day. But you come back here, I'll kick your ass. And he said, so why don't you put up... So CM Punk was saying, so MJF, why don't you put up or shut up? So how about you give me what I want and we fight? MJF got on the microphone and was saying, "You want to fight me, Punk? You people want to see me fight, Punk? Well, next week, it'll be CM Punk versus Wardlow. And then MJF got on the microphone, and MJF dropped the microphone. Then CM Punk got back on the microphone, and CM Punk was saying to MJF that he was nothing but a coward and everything. And CM Punk was also talking about how he was going to kick Wardlow's ass next week, and then eventually he's going to get to MJF because all MJF does is hide behind FTR, but eventually he's going to run out of people to hide behind. So CM Punk was saying, so next week, after I kick Wardlow's ass, I'm kicking your ass and everything. That was cool. That was after the match, by the way. Match 3, it was Wardlow versus Antonio Zambrano. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Wardlow went over with the Powerbomb Symphony. Now, before the match, Shawn Spears attacked Antonio Zambrano with the C4, then threw him back in the ring before the match started. That was cool. And after the match, Shawn Spears attacked Antonio Zambrano in the back with a steel chair. And then Shawn Spears got out of the ring, and then Shawn Spears had while Wardlow was celebrating, and then Shawn Spears had Wardlow come backstage with him. Well, Shawn Spears reached out his hand to shake Wardlow's hand. Wardlow shook Shawn Spears' hand, and then Wardlow and Shawn Spears went backstage. That was cool. That was match 3, by the way. And that was a squash match, by the way. That match between Wardlow versus Antonio Zambrano. That was match 3, by the way. Match 4, it was Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho for the TBS Women's title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jade Cargill went over and won the TBS Women's title with the Diving Jaded. That was match 4, by the way. Match 5, it was Malachi Black versus Brian Pillman Jr. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Malachi Black went over with the Black Mass. Now, after the match, as Malachi Black got out of the ring, Julia Hart came into the ring to tend to Brian Pillman Jr. So Malachi Black went back into the ring and was getting ready to attack Julia Hart, but the Lucha Brothers, which are Rey Fenix and Penta El Cerro Miedo, along with Alex Abrahantes, came down to the ring, and as the Lucha Brothers and Alex Abrahantes got in the ring, the lights went out, Malachi Black disappeared and appeared on stage, and Malachi Black and the Lucha Brothers, along with Alex Abrahantes, were staring each other down, and then the Lucha Brothers, along with Alex Abrahantes, Alex Abrahantes was consoling Julia Hart, and the Lucha Brothers were tending to Brian Pillman Jr. That was cool. And that was after the match, by the way. And that was match 5, by the way. And match 6, which was the main event, it was the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, versus the Lucha Brothers. Wait a minute. And match 6, which was the main event, it was the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, versus the Lucha Brothers, which are Rey Fenix and Penta El Cerro Miedo, for the AEW Tag Team titles. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Jurassic Express went over and won the AEW Tag Team titles because Jungle Boy pinned Pena El Cerro Miedo with a roll-up. Now, after the match, as Christian Cage, after the match, Christian Cage brought the AEW Tag Team titles in the ring to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, along with Christian Cage, were celebrating the Jurassic Express's AEW Tag Team title victory. And as that was going on, Chris Jericho was shown sitting in the rafters. Malachi Black was shown sitting in the rafters. Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, were shown sitting in the rafters. And the Gun Club, which are Billy, Austin, and Colton Gunn. The Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Red Dragon, which are Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker. FTR, which are Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. And the Hardy Family Office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Cassidy, all came out on stage and was staring down the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, along with Christian Cage and everything. That was cool. Now, besides the matches, the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, cut a promo, and Max Caster was Max Caster and Anthony Bowens were talking about how they come out on top last week on AEW Rampage, and how they beat the shit out of Sting and Darby Allin and everything. And then Max Caster was talking about how Anthony Bowens had the match won against Darby Allin, but of course Sting had to stick his nose into everybody else's business. And Anthony Bowens was saying that, saying, Darby Allin, we're not done with your Nightmare Before Christmas looking ass. And Max Caster was saying, and next week, we're going to do a music video and everything. That was cool. And Max Caster, after Max Caster said that they were going to do a music video next week, Max Caster said, and that's a mic drop. And everything. That was cool. AEW aired a video package of the build-up of the match between Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara for the AEW TNT title at AEW's Battle of the Belts. That was cool. Chris Jericho came out to the ring and had a microphone and cut a promo, and Chris Jericho was saying, Newark, New Jersey, it's great to be here, and this is the first time since 1999 that I've been on TBS, and I remember it correctly because the last time I was on TBS back in 1999 was on WCW Thunder when I faced Booker T. And it's safe to say, and I hate to say this, but he cheated. And Chris Jericho was putting over the crowd of Newark, New Jersey and everything, and then as Chris Jericho was talking and everything, 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, came out with microphones, and Matt Lee, 2.0 got in the ring, and Matt Lee was saying to Chris Jericho, Jeff Parker was saying, oh, look who it is. The return of the one and only Chris Jericho. And then Matt Lee was saying, Chris, it's good to see you, because last time we seen you, the last time we saw each other was when we took that steel chair and kicked your ass. Chris Jericho was saying, yeah, you're right. That was the last time we seen each other, was when you cracked me over the head with the steel chair. But I'm back, baby. And one thing I gotta say there, Matt Lee, I can't seem to get on task. I can't seem to get my mind on other things, because I can't help but staring at your big head. And Chris Jericho was making big head jokes to Matt Lee, and Matt Lee was getting pissed off. And then Jeff Parker was saying, Chris Jericho, with all due respect, shut your mouth. And then Jeff Parker was saying, because he is not a blockhead. And Chris Jericho was saying, oh, so he's not a blockhead? Well, since Matt Lee is a blockhead, Jeff Parker, you're a pinhead. And Jeff Parker got pissed off, and then Matt Lee was saying, he is not a pinhead. And Chris Jericho kept calling Matt Lee blockhead and calling Jeff Parker pinhead and everything. And then 2.0 went to talking more shit, and then Chris Jericho was saying, how about I go get a special friend of mine and we can fight? And Chris Jericho went out of the ring, got his baseball bat Floyd, and got in the ring. And then and as Chris Jericho was getting ready to fight 2.0, Daniel Garcia came to the crowd, and Chris Jericho turned around and hit Daniel Garcia in the stomach with the baseball bat. And as that was going on, 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, attacked Chris Jericho from behind and beat the shit out of him. And Daniel Garcia joined in with with Matt Lee and Jeff Parker in attacking Chris Jericho. And as that was going on, Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, came down for the rescue. And as Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, came down to the ring, Daniel Garcia and 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, retreated. And Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful were still in the ring, and Daniel Garcia and 2.0 were outside of the ring, and they all had stare downs. They all had a stare down against each other and everything. That was cool. Adam Cole and Red Dragon, which are Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, cut a promo, and Adam Cole was talking about how Adam Cole was talking to Kyle O'Reilly, saying, Kyle, you know last week I didn't mean to super kick your head off, but I will say this, that was an accident, but I will say this. The Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, when they came out to super kick the head off Chuck Taylor, that wasn't an accident. That was on purpose. Because, just think about it. Me, Red Dragon, and the Bucks, all as a cohesive unit, we would be unstoppable. But enough with that. What I'm getting at, what I want to get at now is the newest signee to AEW, Jake Atlas. Now, Jake, you had an impressive debut against Serpentico on AEW Dark Elevation Monday night. So, I could do you one better. How about me and you face off in that ring on AEW Rampage Friday night. And once I'm done with you, I'm going to give you a one-way plane ticket back to Orlando, because I am Adam Cole, baby, and everything. That was cool. Jim Ross interviewed Serena Deeb, and Jim Ross was talking to Serena Deeb about saying that Serena Deeb has been taking it personal with Hikaru Shida and everything, and Jim Ross was wondering why Serena Deeb was taking this personal. And Serena Deeb was saying, well, Jim, the reason I'm taking it personal is because Hikaru Shida has been getting fluke victory after fluke victory after fluke victory against me. And that don't fly with me. So, and Jim, 17 years I have been in this business, and I have paid all my dues, and even paid the dues of the women in the locker room, and everything. And then Jim Ross was asking Serena Deeb, what do you have plans next for this feud going on between you and Hikaru Shida? And Serena Deeb was saying, well, Jim, let me ask you one question. Is there any woman in that locker room that's better than me? Jim Ross was saying, well, that's a tough question, Serena, because all the women in this company are talented. But if I had to say yes or no, my answer would be no. And then Serena Deeb was saying, well, going back to your question, Jim, my plan for this feud going on between Hikaru Shida and myself, I spoke to Tony Khan. And I asked Tony Khan for a match against Hikaru Shida next week on AEW Dynamite. So Shida, see you next week, because I'm going to make your life a living hell, and I'm going to kick your ass in that ring and everything. That was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Ruby Soho, and Tony Schiavone was informing Ruby Soho, saying, Ruby, tonight you came up short, but you put on a hell of a fight. What's your thoughts? And Ruby Soho was getting ready to talk, but Team DMD, which are Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter, appeared, and Ruby Soho was saying, I never get the chance to talk without being interrupted by these three goons. And then Britt Baker was saying, well, Ruby Soho, the woman that always comes up short. Not only did you come up short tonight against Jade Cargill, but you came up short against me at Grand Slam. So what's that say about you? And Ruby Soho was saying, well, Britt, why don't you just leave me alone? Because it's obvious you can't get nothing done without the help of your two goons, Rebel and Jamie Hayter. Because let me give you an example. You've not beaten Riho with or without help. So, what makes you think that you're going to beat Riho again? Because you're not. And everything. And Ruby Soho continued to talk more shit, and then Britt Baker attacked Ruby Soho, beating the shit out of her, and Riho came along and attacked Britt Baker, was beating the shit out of her, and then Jamie Hayter was trying to intervene. Well, Jamie Hayter was trying to save Britt Baker, but all the referees came along and grabbed Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter away, and grabbed Riho away. But Jamie Hayter was trying to still attack Ruby Soho. Jamie Hayter attacked Ruby Soho, but ended up getting held back by the referees some more, and so all the referees restored order and everything. And Riho and Ruby Soho was laid out and everything, and Ruby Soho was still laid out and everything. That was cool. Now, besides all that, besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. The referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Paul Turner refereed the match between Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW title. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Shawn Dean versus MJF. Rick Knox refereed the match between Wardlow versus Antonio Zambrano. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Jade Cargill versus Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho for the TBS Women's title. Rick Knox refereed the match between Malachi Black versus Brian Pillman Jr. And Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, versus the Lucha Brothers, which are Rey Fenix and Penta El Cerro Miedo, for the AEW Tag Team titles. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite next week, it's going to be CM Punk versus Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin, and Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida. Those are the matches that have been announced so far. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite next week looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. Hold on. I did forget another thing. The factory, which are... Now, the factory, which are... Well, one thing I forgot. The factory, which are QT Marshall and Eric... The one thing I forgot, the factory, which are QT Marshall and Aaron Solo, cut a promo, and QT Marshall was talking about, QT Marshall was saying, everyone's talking about the sensation known as Hook, but they fail to realize that he's not the best, because in training, all he did was show up late, leave early, eat a bag of chips, and stretch everybody. And that's sad, because his dad, Taz, isn't like that. And Hook, you may stretch everybody, but you're not going to stretch Aaron Solo. Well, Aaron Solo was saying, Hook, stretch if you will, survive if I let you, and everything. That was cool. Now, already went over the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite next week, but the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage tomorrow night, it's going to be Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, versus Daniel Garcia and 2.0. The match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage tomorrow night, it's going to be Adam Cole versus Jake Atlas. The match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage tomorrow night, it's going to be Adam Cole versus... The match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW... The match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage tomorrow night, it's going to be Adam Cole versus Jake Atlas, Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, versus Daniel Garcia and 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, in a no holds barred match. Hook versus Aaron Solo, and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho and Riho. Those are the matches that have been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage tomorrow night looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to it. And the match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's special event, Battle of the Belts, it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara for the AEW TNT title, and Britt Baker versus Riho for the AEW Women's title. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Battle of the Belts looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from last night, which was January 5th, 2022. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.